Liisa Välikangas, welcome to MC Read Studio. It doesn't happen very often that a Finnish author writes directly to the international markets. I think we have seen a few Finnish books being translated into English or targeting potentially still a Finnish audience. I think the resilient organization, how adaptive cultures thrive even when strategy fails, was I think I needed to get this from McGraw-Hill in the US instead of my contacts with the UK office. Liisa is a professor in Helsinki, a global citizen, and I think this is a book that reflects that story. So before we dig into the resilient organization, why don't you share with us a little bit in terms of what can be found in here through your adventures in academia and different parts of the world.
Sure. Thank you, Matti, and it's nice to be part of the MC Read. It's a great idea, may I add. So the Resilient Organization book is, as you suggested, it's sort of a tour of the last 20 years of
You must have started at 10.
I know, thank you for saying that, but unfortunately not. It's a tour of different places that I've worked, of course Helsinki most recently, but California, Silicon Valley for the last 12 years, Japan before that, IMD in Switzerland, Lausanne before that. And it's kind of a collection of work, ideas and thoughts that have emerged as important as part of that journey, if you like. Some of those ideas are, of course, resilience, which is already in the title of the book, which is really the dissatisfaction with the way companies, organizations usually change, which is first you have to get deep into the crisis before you can start doing something really effective or perhaps serious about it. And so the call for resilience, or the quest, as it was published at Harvard Business Review with Gary Hamel 2003, was a definition, it was a call for the kind of change that would be possible prior to crisis. And the Harvard Business Review article didn't have a lot of advice as to how to do that. It was sort of a call for thinking about that. And so since then, I've been trying to research, think, experiment with corporations as to how one might do that. And this book is really a summary of some of that thinking. It starts from, well, let's think about the starting point, how to manage the consequences of past performance. If you've been very, very successful, you have to deal with threats such as arrogance or complacency. If you've been doing just okay, mediocrity, how you kind of escape that? Or if you're below good, then what do you do then? What are some of the threats around that for continued or improved performance? And then the book talks about how to design or build an organization that is robust, that is adaptive, that is observant perhaps. And finally, how to rehearse resilience, which is another very important thought in the journey, that change or changing, which is in the core of resilience, is something you actually have to rehearse. It's sort of like, to stay in good shape, you have to go to the gym. Because by the time, as one of my collaborators said, by the time the tiger is on your tail, it's too late to learn to run. So I talk about change muscles and how to keep those in shape. And so that is the third step, rehearsing the change, keeping the capacity to be able to be adaptive alive.
I would sort of put this book in the category of an innovation book. It's a definite thumbs up for open concept of being sort of open for ideas. I think it's very much a book on experimentation. So I think those have definitely been sort of things that you have communicated through this book. I think clearly you see risks as opportunities. I think this is a very positive book in the sense that if you get grips on what resilience is, and I think this is a good book to start with. I don't know who would you sort of say that are your fellow thinkers in the academia or around the world? You have obviously worked with Gary Hamel and the likes. Is there research somewhere that will sort of pick up on this, or is this part of a bigger global effort, or what's happening?
It's embedded in the thinking that points to the need for the whole organization to be innovative. The whole organization, and perhaps even beyond the organization, kind of connected with customers, with suppliers, with partners, to develop the sort of capacity to pay attention to serendipity, to pay attention to what's happening out there, turn those insights, turn those sudden observations into something that perhaps can be developed as opportunities. So there's a group of people who study innovation around the perspective of making it more open, making it more democratic, making it sort of a way to think about strategy, which is not just how you perhaps excel on cost cutting, but how you excel on being innovatively different, compelling. So that group of people certainly is part of the sort of intellectual heritage of this book. There are a lot of people who study resilience, but they study it from a very different perspective. I would call it, and I call it operational resilience in the book, which is how you survive a crisis, how you ensure operationally that if something goes really wrong or something really bad happens, your organization still survives. So this is not a book about what to do when you are already in trouble. This is a book about how you avoid getting into that deep trouble to begin with. And I think the key idea there is that it is not enough to be planned, to be forewarned against a particular kind of threat or trouble, but really to develop a very broad capacity to have the change muscles, to have the sort of observational skills of the organization, to have an innovation portfolio so that they are kind of options to rely on, to step on in case of need. And I think that very much is a sort of an attitude, it's a capability, it's perhaps a dynamic capability if you think of some of the people in the academia who write about that. And it is partially a matter of luck or serendipity, but we all know that to be really lucky, you also have to know when you're lucky. And one of the characteristics of resilience is that you actually have to notice when something really important happens and be able to translate the importance to you as an organization. And I think this type of ability to sort of see the little bit that is strategic that happens in your environment and turn that could become a threat eventually into an opportunity is very much at the heart of the resilient organization.
Anyone who is interested in sort of the culture of innovation, the mindset of innovation, I think add the resilient organization into your collection of books. Thank you, Liisa, very much for coming. I hope that you will continue to publish on this issue. I didn't have to dig the word serendipity out of you. I think you came out of it.
My pleasure.
So good luck, and I hope to see you here again.
Thank you, Matti. It's
Thank you.
good talking to you, as always.
Thanks.